All right, so you've accepted a job in the Tuscaloosa area, and now over the next couple weeks, you've got some big decisions to make about where you're going to live. Are you going to rent? Are you going to buy? And in this video, I'm going to cover with you 5 things that I would urge you to think through as you are in that decision making process. I'm Phil Duke Jr., and I'm a licensed real estate broker here in the Tuscaloosa area. Been doing this for years and years. And if you're watching this video, you're probably, either decided to move here already or considering it, right? And if you need somebody to talk to, my calendar link is below. You can scan that QR code down in the corner, and you can set up a time on my calendar. It doesn't cost anything. And if you do decide to move here, you need a good real estate professional to help you. Alabama's a buyer beware state. So whether that's me or whether that's somebody else, you really need to find somebody that can help you through that process. And I do that every single day. And I'm here. I'm making these videos, and I would love to be the one helping you make that move to the Tuscaloosa area. So let's go ahead and jump into it. 5 things that I think you would need to think through before you ever go look at a house, right? There's nothing wrong with getting on realtor.com, getting on Zillow and looking at houses, but here's some things I think you need to think about first. Number one is your job location matters, right? And what I mean by that is Tuscaloosa is a large county when it comes to just the land, the amount of acreage, the time it takes to go from one part of the county to the other. There's, some extreme examples, but depending on where you're at in Tuscaloosa County, it could literally be 45 minutes to an hour for you to get to work. You could live in Tuscaloosa County, your job is in Tuscaloosa County, and it could still take 45 minutes to an hour, maybe even longer, depending on, where you're going to live, where you're going to work. And so I would urge you to really think that through. In today's day and age, most of us, myself included, I've got an office here in Northport. My house is like 5 minutes away from here. But if I went home for the day and I need to do something work related, I've still got my computer. I've got an internet connection at my house. So it's not as big of a deal for me to live, further away if I wanted to. I personally like to be pretty close to the office just so I can run by here, have a meeting, come by here and do something, drop something off, meet with somebody, something like that. But for you, your line of work may not be that way. Okay. You might be like the vast majority of people, and you got to be there at this time and you got to stay until this time. And, your commute is going to add extra time every single day, right? 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. That's a lot of extra time in the car, right? And some people like that. Some people like having some time to wind down. Some people like being able to listen to talk radio or to an audio book or a podcast or something like that. But I would urge you to think about, like, where is your job and how close do you really want to be to that? Some people like the opposite. They like being away because when they leave work, when they go home for the weekend, they don't want to even ride by and see their work anymore. They want to, like, totally disconnect. And so there's no right or wrong, but I would just urge you to think about that. And fortunately, in the Tuscaloosa area, if you want to live close, you can probably live close. If you want to live further away, you can probably live further away, or you can do, some kind of happy medium. You may also have a spouse to consider as well. You're going to work here. Where are they going to work? That might be a big part of it. So your job location matters. Number two, your family's life is more important than the house, right? The layout of the house, what kind of, floors are in it, what kind of appliances are in it. There's a lot more to life than just, those finishes. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having nice stuff. I'm a big fan of, of having some upgraded features. But here's what I mean by that. What are you and your family into? If you've got a day off, is that day off, just sleeping in and staying around the house? Well, that's going to open up a lot of options for you. A lot of places you can do that. But But for me and my family, we like to fish. I have a little bass boat. I keep it charged up all the time. I live about 1 mile from Lake Tuscaloosa, and that's important for me because I like to go often. It's common, especially from springtime through the fall, that if I have a day and I kind of don't have a ton on the schedule, I kind of like going home, throwing my stuff in the boat, and let's go fishing. Let's go get on the water, right? So your family's life, well, what's important to y'all? Is it going to the gym? Is it being involved with your church? Right? You might not even know where you're going to go to church yet. So think about those things as well. If you're going to be at the ballpark 2 or 3 nights a week, that's extra time, right? You got to get off work, go get the kids, meet the kids at the ballpark. Like those are all things to think about. What is your family into? What is important to you? What are the non-negotiables? And then let's make sure that the house that you pick, you know, uh, is fits into that plan, right? All right. Number three, I'm a realtor, right? I only make a commission check when somebody decides to buy a house and the closing happens, right? But as a realtor, I will also tell you, you don't have to buy right away. There are a lot of game day rentals in this area, right? People rent out these properties for Alabama football weekends, for graduation, for parent weekends, for holidays even. And I've helped quite a few clients who, they found these videos, they reached out to me, they said, "Hey, we'd kind of like to test drive the area a little bit. We don't want to just buy something right away, and we don't really know what side of town we want to be on. We'd kind of like to learn the area a little bit." And there are furnished rentals, right? People that rent these properties out on Airbnb, VRBO. Some of them would rather have somebody do a 60-day or a 90-day lease. And so you could come down here to Tuscaloosa and you could live in a house that's already got furniture, that's already got silverware, that's already got plates, already has cups, already has a washer and dryer. You could live that way for 60 to 90 days or more. Many of them, to be honest with you, with the kind of the bust of the Airbnb market, people aren't doing Airbnb the way they once were. A lot of people have decided to go back to hotels. Um, no cleaning fees added into it. You don't have to, start the dishwasher on your way out. Some of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of people who own properties that they bought them as Airbnbs, but they would gladly and they would preferably have a little bit more of a long term guaranteed thing. So if you know where to look, and fortunately I do, I know where to look. That's also an option that you could look at as well. Test drive the area, test drive your job, see what the commute times are really like. You don't really know what it's going to be like until you actually live here. And for some people, they want to just kind of take it slow and ease into it. And you don't have to buy a house right away. Number four kind of goes along with this. You know, as you're thinking about this transition, think about what you're already doing on a daily and weekly basis. Do you go to the gym early in the morning? You know, do you do a date night during the week? What do you do on the weekends? What do you do in your off time away from work? Think about the things that you're already doing where you're at right now that are important to you. You know, I'll tell you one thing that's really important to me is my mom and dad live pretty close to me, right? And I've considered moving other places. All the time I go in properties that are beautiful and I'm like, man, this is a beautiful house. But I'd be further away from my mom. I'd be further away from my dad. And that would mean my kids would be further away, which means they wouldn't get to visit as much. So like that's something that's really important to me. Being close to a body of water is important to me. I'm close to Lake Tuscaloosa right now. If I was to move away from Lake Tuscaloosa, I'd need to be close to another lake or a river or something like that where I could still go fishing very quickly, right? I want to make it easy on myself to be able to do that. So think about the things that are important to you that you're already doing, that you're already taking advantage of. um, while you're still where you are right now, right? Think about the things you like where you're at. Things about it might be easier to think about the things you don't like about where you're at right now. And even like when it comes to your house too, do you want a split floor plan where like the master bedroom is on one side of the house and all the other bedrooms are on the other, or would you prefer to have them all on one side of the house? There's no right or wrong. Where do you want your laundry room to be? If it's up to you, right? Some people want it far away where they can't hear it at night when they're trying to go to sleep. If they've got clothes in the wash or clothes in the dryer when they're going to sleep, they want it to be far away. They want the kitchen to be far away so they're not having to hear the dishwasher, throughout the night. So think about, what's important to you. And then lastly, you really, to me, again, I'm a real estate investor, so maybe I just look at it from that lens a little bit too much. I go into everything thinking about what is my exit strategy. And, I think for you coming to the Tuscaloosa area, probably is a great opportunity that you're moving here from. Maybe it's a pay increase, maybe it's a step up the corporate ladder. But sometimes things aren't what they seem. And I would hate for you to move down here, live here for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and decide this isn't what you want, and then have a house that is going to be hard to sell, right? And there are definitely certain types of houses in this area that you don't want to have. I see them all the time. I was in one yesterday. It looked cool in the pictures. It was kind of cool when we went there in person, but cool and custom and unique does not always mean valuable, right? It does not always mean that there's a market for it. Sometimes it's so custom and it's so unique that only a handful of people would want it. And if you're one of those people that does want it, that's totally fine. But what if you decide to sell down the road? And what if the market's even tougher than what it is right now? And what if you've got a very limited kind of buyer that would buy that property, and then you're having to sell and you're having to deal with a house here when you move to wherever you go next? So there's definitely houses that you don't want, and I think you need to have an exit strategy in mind. Maybe it doesn't need to be the deciding factor, but it needs to be part of the decision making process. So again, to chat more about that, I can give you more details on a phone call or on a video chat. You can click the link below to schedule a time with me directly. Won't be with my assistant, won't be with a rookie agent. When you reach out to me, it's me and you from beginning to end, from looking at houses to writing offers to going through the inspection process to going through underwriting to going through the pre-closing and then the post-closing process as well. So there's even things we have to do after a closing. I'm here. I'm available. Comment below if you have any comments to add to this, and would love to chat with you if you're in that position where you're thinking about making a move to the Tuscaloosa area.